Hey guys, welcome back. We have a weekend energy update to get into now. I will say this is one of those weekends where how things are on Friday is probably not going to be how they feel and seem and are on Sunday. We've got some pretty dramatic vibe shifts taking place after Friday and as we enter Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Now, Friday may be the more pressure cooker day of the weekend. You might be feeling the heat, feeling the pressure, feeling the overwhelm for some reason. If you've got some things that you need to get done that require you to be out and about in the hustle and the bustle and going here and there, you may find that you have an easier, better time of just getting that done. If you don't do it on Friday, actually wait until Saturday or Sunday. Energy is much more supportive of our ability to logistically navigate and accomplish things on Saturday and Sunday than it is on Friday for sure. Friday could be a bit of a challenge. We're going to talk about it in the report for today. We've got two sets of T-squares going on. We've got this Uranus black moon opposition. However, as we move into Saturday and Sunday, the moon will leave Gemini, enter Cancer, begin coming into a conjunction with Jupiter, forming this grand water trine that we've already got present between Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. And I do think that people are probably going to just generally have a bit of a more positive, optimistic, better attitude the closer that we get to Sunday. Sunday could be just a very harmonious, nice day. People may be in a bit of the giving spirit, charitable things, generosity. Sunday could be a good day, but we've got some things to talk about, you guys. Let's get into the report. Let's take a closer look at our energy forecast Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and see if we can get an idea of how things may be playing out for us as we move through our weekend and prepare to enter the energy of next week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, December 6th, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the weekend, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, we're just going to take a good look at our energy forecast Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend, see if we can get an idea of what's going on out there. So let's get into it, you guys. As I mentioned in my intro, there is likely to be a level of tension just kind of inherent in the energy field of Friday right now. Generally, that is because, and I've been talking about this all week, we have a square building between Mars and Saturn right now in mutable signs. Mars is transiting Sagittarius, Saturn's in the sign of Pisces. Mars is building into the degree range of square to Saturn. This has been going on all week. This is actually going to come exact in the energy of Monday. So it's building throughout the course of the weekend as well. And on Friday, the primary issue here is the fact that we're also going to have the moon transiting the sign of Gemini, which is another mutable sign. Gemini opposes Sagittarius, where Mars is, and the moon in Gemini is going to be at the correct degree range to form the opposition to Mars and therefore also a square to Saturn and Pisces. So we've got a lunar T-square that is setting up while the moon opposes Mars, squares Saturn, who are also in their own square, and this is going to activate and amplify the energy of that aspect, which is kind of notoriously known as one of the most challenging energies in astrology. Mars is, of course, the Lord of War and the fire planet, and Saturn is about control and authority and limitation and restriction. And oftentimes when these two planets are coming to a head, to a 90-degree angle with one another, things can just get a little bit heated. We can be feeling the tension, feeling the pressure. Things can be a bit overbearing. People can be a bit overbearing and overly controlling, and oftentimes there's just kind of this power struggle between who's going to lead, who's going to dominate, who the authority is, who's in control. And specifically right now as well, there is a huge amount of transitional energy that is present, and it feels like some old version of something is in the process of giving way to something that is more fresh or more new or more youthful or more innovative somehow. And so there could also be this inherent conflict or struggle between the old energy trying to cling on and continue to remain in control, while there's just this fresh force or something that is equally, trying to like gain power and authority and control as well. So, you may have felt it throughout the course of the week. You may definitely feel it on Friday for sure with the moon there, but also on Monday. There could be issues along these lines coming up, and we're going to talk about it more in the report for today. We're going to, of course, talk about it specifically also in the energy or in the report for Monday, because, like I said, that is when that energy comes exact. However, there is kind of like an inherent antidote that is simultaneously present right now in our energy field, and that is the simultaneous grand trine in water signs that is also going on, which is essentially kind of like the entirely opposite energy to the Mars Saturn square. That is, the Mars Saturn square is like creating frustrations and limitations and restrictions and blockages to our ability to like act and move forward and, essentially do whatever it is that we need to get done. But that grand trine in water signs with Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn, that is all about having an ability to like accomplish some term of long-term goal, or to be successful, or to make something happen, or to like have the wisdom and the patience to follow through on something. That is a very visionary master builder type of energy. Great for planning, great for strategy. So we really do kind of, and I'm going to go back and talk about this later. I actually have it written down further in my notes, so I will be addressing this again. But there does seem to be something here about simultaneous like challenges and blessings, kind of like two sides of something, like maybe two extremes somehow happening at the same time, and maybe like trying to find our balance or our equilibrium between like what seems like it's falling apart, or what seems like it's ending, or what seems like it's just completely overwhelming or putting the pressure on or out of control somehow, and also like something positive that seems to be coming in, some type of like confidence that we're gaining, or some type of motivation or inspiration or incentive to do something new, go in a new direction. Definitely, you guys, endings and beginnings are all over the energy field right now. And don't forget, we're moving through a Scorpio lunar cycle right now. The last new moon was a new moon in Scorpio that had a lot to do with some type of radical new beginning coming online. And then we just had this full moon take place on Thursday as well that seemed to be indicating, really, I think, being right there on the cusp of these big changes, of these big transitions. There could be a lot of decisions that are coming up right now, and this is a very like life-changing season. I think a lot of people are going to be experiencing some very drastic and dramatic life changes to their day-to-day, maybe changes to their job or their career, maybe changes having to do with like financial situations, or just like habits and routines and structures and systems, and the way that things are getting done foundationally changing, fundamentally changing. Also, belief systems that are shifting, and the way that we are thinking about things is probably shifting and changing as well. And, with the Mars Saturn square coming in right now on the side of that grand trine in water signs, there could definitely be some roadblocks or some hurdles or some struggles that are wrapped up in this transitional process right now. Whatever old thing is ending and whatever like new thing is emerging. But I just feel like the grand trine in water is letting us know that, if we can expand our vision, if we can maintain faith, if we can, keep our perspective centered on like the bigger picture of things, keep the dream alive, keep focused on the goal, make a plan, make a strategy, have patience, keep working towards it. There's definitely long-term success that is associated with the things that we are building, forming, committing to, investing in, working towards right now. So, kind of like two things going on at once, I do think might be a theme this weekend. Aside from the Mars Saturn square with the moon there that is forming one T square on Friday to get the weekend started. We also have the sun in a perfect square to the nodes of the moon, destiny and karma. We had the same energy present for the full moon in Gemini on Thursday. So this is another indication of like this karmic turning point, and things could just be kind of caught in the crosshairs and going back and forth and caught in between and push and pull and tug of war. You might find yourself also like really wanting to move forward with something, but also at the same time feeling restrained, or like you can't find your way through, or like you can't make progress, or like limited, or something's holding you back, or there could just be some like very daunting things that need to be overcome in order for that movement or momentum to take place. Like blocks to our ability to progress could be one of the struggles that people are like just super not handling very well, but not really having a choice about also in the energy of Friday and moving into next week. Again, Saturday and Sunday is going to offset this a bit because the moon will enter Cancer and really become involved in that grand water trine. So that flow of things may be more dominant in the energy field Saturday and especially Sunday. But Friday, that's what I'm saying, like, don't set yourself up for failure if you don't have to, you know what I mean? Like if you've got no choice and like this is the day that you've got to get it done, or, you know, else, then you've really got no choice and you've got to do what you've got to do. And I do think actually like a lot of people might be in that situation in this particular energy, like having a responsibility or a duty or like an obligation that they have to meet, even though it's like very frustrating, very difficult to get done. Wouldn't be surprised about that. But like if you do have a to-do list, if you got to go out in traffic, if you got to be around a lot of people, or like just caught up in, you know, like I was saying, the commotion or the hustle and bustle of everything, it does seem like Friday may it might be very irritating and very frustrating and very annoying to try to accomplish anything in that type of an environment on Friday. There could also, like, people are also just kind of likely to be going at it. This is with the moon in Gemini opposing Mars also. We're sort of just like primed for disputes and arguments. The moon opposite Mars, this could bring up just like some inner irritation, like internal conflict and stuff as well. And then when we've got this square to Saturn simultaneously, this is, you know, people may just be feeling the pressure, and it could be coming out in the expression of anger or kind of like verbal outrage or verbal conflict. People may like not have the nicest things to say. This could be kind of like critical or harsh or like seemingly like over judgmental and stuff. So could make for some tense or intense, conflict-oriented or traumatic situations to go on or play out. Remember, it's not just that, you know, these two T-squares, the sun, and they're both luminary T-squares also, the sun squaring the nodes, the moon opposite Mars squaring Saturn. We also have Uranus and the black moon in exact opposition right now as well, which is another energy that could be triggering some dramatic or some drastic change. People could be feeling very rebellious and maybe not handling themselves the best. This could be extremely impulsive, extremely spontaneous. We could be suddenly becoming aware of like the darker or the deeper sides of people or situations. There could be people doing some really crazy or shocking things that are like borderline disturbing or provoke some fears or something like that somehow. And it could be honestly bringing situations to a bit of a breaking point, especially if they've been like going in that direction up until this point in time. And that's another thing that could just have people sort of going at it, things coming to a head. There could also be like a choice or a decision or a conversation that takes place, or some information that we gain access to or come across that could contribute to maybe some of these more like heated interpersonal scenarios or situations. And another thing about the energy this week, as I've been saying all week, there There is a level, I think, of like future significance in terms of how things are going. Because of the like nodal activity, destiny and karma, north node being the destiny point, south node being the point of karmic release, the fact that we've also had Mars building into square with Saturn, while Saturn has also been involved in this grand water trine. Saturn's the lord of karma, Saturn's the lord of time. We also this week have Mars exactly trine Chiron, which has to do with karmic cycles and breaking karmic cycles and healing from karmic cycles, being released from karmic cycles and stuff like that as well. There's like definitely an emphasis here, I think, on, well, of course, like the fated and the karmic nature of things, but the things that happen and take place now and the shifts and changes that are underway definitely like altering the course of how things are going to go going forward. Again, back to what I was saying in my full moon video, and I think I may have talked about this in the video of Monday also, but it's like this whole disrupting the pattern things. Like things have been going along a certain road, following a certain trajectory, been maybe like done the same way for a long period of time, but just something about this energy right now is not allowing patterns that have been perpetuating for too long to persist if they are no longer supportive of some process of growth that universe, God, great spirit, your higher self, whatever it is, like needs you to align with and become at this point in time. So there again, like could be random things happening. There's also this energy of divine intervention underway, but strange, synchronistic, coincidental, maybe shocking or surprising, out of the blue, unexpected, miraculous, like all that type of stuff could be going on in a way that just changes the plan essentially, or what we thought the plan was, or the way that we thought that we were going to get there, you know what I mean? So there could just be some things going on now that are going to alter the course of what we had anticipated was going to happen going forward, and also I think some pretty significant ways. And again, very transitional point in time. Conflict could also and is likely also to be arising over that transitional process. As I was saying earlier, the Saturn energy, like this is the past, this is the authority, this is the control, this is the structure, this is the form, this is the foundation, like these are the rules, the laws, the regulations that keep things a certain way for a long period of time. Mars is the warrior. Mars is like this youthful masculine energy. It's Aries also, it's the leader. So we've got like the old general and then like the emerging leader coming up, and it's like who's going to dominate, like which side of this struggle is going to come out on top. But we've also got Saturn in the sign of Pisces, which is about the end, and we've got, it's the last sign of the zodiac, and we've got Mars in the sign of Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter, which is about expansion. So and everything else that's indicated here as well. I do think that the new way, the new order, what is emerging now is ultimately where the power and the control and the dominance is going to fall in any given situation, in any given scenario. I was even talking about in my last video, like I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are like retiring or stepping down, or there are like legitimate like changes of guard or changes of leadership or changes of management and stuff like that underway, and all types of different fields for all types of different reasons. But it does just definitely seem like an old version of something maybe giving way to a new version of something, but there is this struggle or this conflict that has to be overcome in order for that to happen in some way, somehow. So that is very clear to me on an energetic level. And when we're talking about also the signs of Pisces and Sagittarius that are the most highlighted right now, both of these T-squares that we've got going on Friday are mutable sign T-squares, which is interesting, because we've got the nodes right now, North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo, being squared exactly by the Sun in Sagittarius. And then we've got Saturn in Pisces also, and Mars also in Sagittarius, squaring and opposing the moon in Gemini. So, and mutable signs, you guys, are also about transition. So it's not even just like the interplanetary dynamic brought to us by the aspects right now that to me is equating to this power struggle slash point of transition, but even the signs that all this energy is taking place in, the mutable signs, are about fading out of one thing and fading into something else, like adaptation and transition. So transition is really just the name of the game all over the place, any way you want to slice it this week, but beliefs and expansion as well. Pisces with Saturn, that's belief systems, and Mars is expansion, growth, wisdom in the sign of Sagittarius. So there could be like something that we are learning, something that we are coming to discover, something that we are coming to understand that like does elevate or enhance our perspective in such a way that causes us maybe to want to break free from some old belief system or like old way of doing things or like old conditioning or something that we've been adhering to. Maybe again, like as a result of these mental shifts that are going on and the way that we are changing what we want to do, how we want to act, how we want to use our energy, and our own our own sense maybe of like personal power or personal authority as a result as well. Mars, of course, is the self in the sign of Sagittarius. This is like an expanded self-perception somehow, which is also interesting because remember, Mars right now on Friday is also exactly trining Chiron, who is in the sign of Aries. Chiron in the sign of Aries has to do with a wounded self-perception, like a distorted self-image that maybe has kept us in some type of state of victimhood that has been perpetuating maybe like self-sabotaging cycles and preventing us from being able to like step into our true power and individuality or something like that for some reason. But with Mars in Sagittarius in the trine, like whatever it is that we're learning could also be doing something to heal maybe that like wounded inner child or distorted self-concept, like whatever it is that Chiron Aries energy may be representing for us. This is a window period of time where that could actually be being alleviated and resolved as well, as a result of some type of expanded sense of awareness or like wisdom that has been gained through experience that we are now able to apply and make some different decisions that also may be like altering the course of things, changing the outcome of things, or just shifting our perspective altogether. So what I really mean to say here, you guys, is that there's just a lot of repeating patterns coming through here. I do think that we've got, again, like a lot of divine support, universal support, cosmic support to step out of an old version of ourselves that has really dictated maybe the way that our life has gone and unfolded so far. And I do think a lot of people are going to be changing their lives drastically and dramatically and really becoming maybe a very different person from this point and moving through the spring of 2026. So let me know if you got stuff like that going on. Now, in consideration of all of the things that I just said, you can therefore see and understand why, yes, Friday with the moon activating that square between Mars and Saturn specifically could definitely feel intense, could definitely feel heavy or overwhelming. Again, this sense of pressure maybe, but it's also giving the best of times, worst of times type of vibes because we simultaneously have that grand trine in water signs. So like things could be difficult, things could be stressful, there could be issues navigating for sure, but there's also probably something that is uplifting, something that is positive that is going on, something maybe that's inspiring us or bringing a sense of hope, a true sense of polarity, which is also funny because we just had this Gemini full moon. Gemini rules polarity. It's a sign of the twins, things that are the same, things that are different, duality, opposites, twos generally. So two extremes, two opposites at the same time, maybe some highs and lows going on out there, feeling, as I was saying earlier, like caught in between, the past and the future, one foot still in the old world, one foot like beginning to feel firmly planted in the new one, but still kind of like trying to strike that balance, figure out how to do it. find a solution. So it's not all bad for sure. It's actually, I think, quite a blessing that we do have the Grand Trine and Water happening simultaneously, but it's also probably not all good either. Like, and that could be one of the frustrations where like there are good things going on, but like maybe you do have like responsibilities or there are like hindrances to your ability to move forward into that again could just be like creating these issues. There's definitely a fresh, expansive energy driving change, though, and collapsing the past. And I would expect a lot of people to be going through, again, like these major life transitions from this point and over this next couple of months. The holidays might also be a bit different or unusual this year because it's the same themes like traditions, what and how things normally operate and are normally done, just like not going that way or not working out that way, or like some new element somehow being introduced that prohibits the like general status quo from being able to flow in that same fashion. But Friday for sure, you may be just struggling with a little bit of frustration, a little bit of like anger issues. It could be a little bit like hard to control what exactly is coming out of your mouth. A lot of people may be lashing out in some kind of intense ways because, you know, that moon, right, is in the sign of Gemini. Gemini energy really likes to communicate, and the moon is our feelings, and that's opposite Mars, and the moon opposite Mars a lot of times can bring some just like heated feelings. You know, maybe it's not anger, maybe you're just very fired up about something. This can be a very like feisty energy. So motivation as well, motivation, courage, inspiration. But again, like maybe something that is blocking the ability to like get that momentum going, and that in and of itself could be causing these issues. Arguments, fights, verbal conflicts, debates, probably also having to do with beliefs, ideologies, ideas, and information because of the signs involved here, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Gemini. Very little patience could be a struggle in the energy of Friday as well. And there could definitely be these conflicts taking place over who's in charge and who is right or correct about things. Self-righteousness and like know-it-all type of attitudes could create tension and conflict in an energy like this as well. Sometimes Mars in the sign of Sagittarius, you know, especially with the moon opposition in Gemini, can like manifest in terms of scenarios like that. And then, you know, rules or regulations, laws, boundaries, maybe things along those lines that are stalling our progress, making people angry for no reason, like preventing or prohibiting us from being able to get the job done, move the way that we need to move, accomplish whatever needs to be done. With the black moon Uranus opposition going on right now as well, that could be triggering people to be reacting maybe in some disturbing or shocking or just like very unexpected ways. The demons could be showing themselves on Friday. People could be like wilding out a little bit, having a very, very hard time keeping a handle on their intense passions and feelings about things. For better or for worse. So we'll put it like that. I wouldn't push people on Friday. Friday's a good day to focus on solving your own problems and kind of like leave people alone and let people be, especially if they are kind of caught up or struggling in this type of stuff, or unless you can like genuinely provide them some type of assistance, get done what you need to get done, or, you know, what you can get done. Again, like I imagine like traffic and logistics and travel could be a bit of a mess and a nightmare in the energy of Friday. Very congested, chaotic, frustrating, irritating. Road rage could be a thing. People losing their patience, losing their temper. This could definitely be going on as well. But if you can pull yourself out of the madness, recenter in a positive mental attitude, right? This big picture perspective, that should really, really help to alleviate the tension and keep things on track. Patience is going to be key here, but patience is also probably lacking. So, you know, trying to find that balance might be a bit of a struggle as well. Great energy though for long-term strategy, long-term planning, extremely indicative as well of wisdom and good judgment applied in the context of decision making, if we can slow ourselves down enough to be able to do that. Now, Saturday, as I have already told you guys, is a much gentler and calmer vibe than Friday. This is because the moon is going to leave Gemini, exit that mutable T square in the opposition to Mars and square to Saturn. That's going to help a lot. And it's going to enter the sign of Cancer. And the moon is now preparing to come into a conjunction with and moving closer to Jupiter. Jupiter uplifts things. Jupiter is like this positive emotional feeling most of the time. It can reinstill a sense of like faith and trust and truth and hope and optimism. It can give us a broader perspective. It can make the focus less about like every little thing and more about like the bigger overall picture. So definitely I think that this is going to alleviate a measure of tension for sure, even though we do still have Mars and Saturn building closer into that square. So like that energy is still there, but with the moon now in the sign of Cancer and moving into this grand water trine, which is also exact on Saturday, Mercury in Scorpio is exactly trining Jupiter in Cancer, and then on Sunday, Mercury in Scorpio is exactly trining Saturn in Pisces. Jupiter and Saturn are 1 degree out right now. So between Saturday and Sunday, we have yet again an activated grand trine in water signs with Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury, and Sunday is the like highlight of this energy because of course the moon is going to be there conjoining Jupiter and Cancer, trining both of those planets as well. So Sunday actually is probably like the loveliest day of the weekend. We'll get there in a minute, but Friday things I do think are heading in a positive direction. They should feel, look, and seem better for some reason on Saturday, more doable. Like maybe things are going to be okay. Friday could be a very overwhelming energy. Saturday things are likely to be looking up a bit. We do still have, of course, the Black Moon Uranus opposition going on as well, but all of that to the side, with the moon now heading towards Jupiter, I think that emotionally we're just probably going to be feeling a little better about things. This could also bring some good news or some big ideas or some confidence or hope or just like a general attitude of optimism, especially with the Mercury trining Jupiter exactly also, because it's like not only emotionally with the moon there are we kind of like feeling better about things, but with the Jupiter Mercury trine, Mercury is like how we're thinking and the way that our like mind and our mental attitude is resonating. And in the trine to Jupiter, this is making things not only feel more hopeful and making us like feel more optimistic about things, but we're also, I think, just going to have a more positive mental attitude and outlook as well. Again, like good judgment, big choices, decisions, and opportunities could definitely come with this. Positive interactions, meetings, and conversations with others that could be quite beneficial for one reason or another. I wouldn't be surprised about that as well. Again, like if you need to ask for a favor, like if you need help with something, I would wait. Friday is probably not the day. Saturday, specifically Sunday, will be much better for that. People should be more mellow, more patient, like less just generally irritated and fired up, verbally eruptive than they maybe were on Friday. Gains, momentum, progress could be made on Saturday, although don't forget, we do still have that square between Mars and Saturn, so there could be this like obstacle or limitation or restraint that is challenging us, or again, maybe some duty or responsibility or burden that seems to be weighing kind of heavily. But where there's a will, there's a way. I think for sure the way the energy is set up is indicating this as well. So despite what may be some trying times, there is likely to be like a light at the end of the tunnel or some light shining through somehow, or just a greater sense of confidence maybe in our ability to persevere over difficulty. Something could be spiritually inspiring us in this energy as well. So if you, again, like, do the things you need to do to be productive, not on Friday, but on Saturday or on Sunday. Sunday is actually a very beautiful energy. Let's move on and talk about Sunday for a minute now. This grand water trine, as I've said, is going to be very heavily activated on Sunday because Mercury will be at the exact degree range in Scorpio to be trining Jupiter, trining Saturn, and the moon is going to amplify the Jupiterian energy and the trine that is taking place between all of these planets as well. Very harmonious flow of energy going on. It could be quite a sensitive or emotional or spiritual day. There could definitely be some like outpouring of sentiment, outpouring of feelings. We're talking about Mercury being in that trine. Like, that's people talking about it, people talking about their big plans, talking about their goals, their dreams, their visions, explaining, their feelings and their strategies and how they're going to make things happen. So, and this could also be a very collaborative energy that we've got going on Sunday, and it's good for that. So use it for that. People are also likely to be just more understanding, more compassionate, more generous, more sentimental than maybe they normally are. There is likely to be also this like willingness to help, willingness to serve, willingness to give that is represented here, and an emotional alignment also with like truth and hope and honor and integrity and doing what's right. So people are probably like more likely to feel like maybe like being their best self or being a better person or a better version of themselves in the energy of Sunday. There could also be some charitable like efforts or events that are going on or are themed somehow on Sunday. Maybe people really in the giving mood or like feeling the holiday spirit or something like that. And therefore, if again, like there's a favor that you need to ask for, something that you need help with, you are probably going to be well received. You're probably gonna, have a better opportunity of getting whatever it is that you ask for. This is kind of like a ask and you shall receive vibe that we've got going on with this grand trine in water on Sunday. So, great day for social gatherings, especially with the moon and Jupiter in the conjunction in Cancer that like are going on in or within the home or family dynamic somehow. Family may be a priority on Sunday, and it is a good thing to orient your day around. Things are going to go generally pretty well. There is a positive, expansive energy when it comes to things to do with whatever's going on in the context of the home or the family or the community. Again, maybe some like charity type of stuff going on. This is a very spiritual energy as well. There could be like a lot of like community church type of gatherings or something that go really well or are very successful or something like that in the energy of Sunday. There could be also with this grand trine in water a sense of magic in the air or this like palpable spiritual presence, divine intervention, things magically or miraculously sort of just like falling into place. Just one, maybe a little tidbit of something to be aware of. Be careful overextending yourself, overgiving, overindulging, overspending, overdoing. That's only, that's like one of the only hangups when we've got a very prominent Jupiter energy is the tendency to just like overdo it. There oftentimes is a lack of ability to like regulate or control. Even like with Mercury, they're like over speaking, over sharing, over promising. You know what I mean? Now, Saturn is countering this to an extent. Like I do think we do have with Saturn in the trine as well a greater ability to moderate that expansive Jupiter energy. So, just be practical about your offerings and don't get in over your head with anything, specifically because on Monday, if you remember a little while ago, I was saying that is the day that Mars and Saturn are going to come to their exact square together. Also, by the time we get to Monday, the moon will have left the sign of Cancer, entered Leo, form the opposition to Pluto. So we're going to have a moon-Pluto opposition, and we're going to have a Mars-Saturn square. That is a pretty significant vibe shift again. That is not like the warm, fuzzy vibes, the like soft and gentle, very harmonious sentimental energy that is going on this weekend. We're kind of like back into the harsh reality of things on Monday. So, things may feel like they're back under pressure, and you don't want to like set yourself up for failure by like feeling so good and taking things over the top and going too far and committing yourself and investing yourself and over promising and over giving and oversharing in a way that like maybe when you get into the energy of Monday, you're just regretting a little bit, and maybe like you wish that you hadn't, because now you're realizing that it's a little less manageable than maybe you thought. So just be mindful of that. But other than that, I think Sunday should be a pretty positive, pretty harmonious, pretty like emotionally uplifting, also positive attitude type of day, enjoyable type of day. Of course, it's not going to be like that for everybody, but I do think for a lot of people, Sunday and Saturday are going to be just a much softer vibe than we've had going on this week, specifically maybe on Friday, and also Monday we are stepping back into the pressure cooker, and I'll be back to talk all about that on Monday. Other than that, I just wanted to reference a couple of Sabian symbols real quick. We are going to have Venus at 8 degrees of Sagittarius on Saturday. That Sabian symbol is deep within the depths of the earth. New elements are being formed. I feel like that symbol is just like picturesque of the greater energetic themes that are unfolding right now. A lot of pressure, right? But pressure makes diamonds, and new things are being created from it. And without that pressure, without whatever it is that is maybe like bearing down or needs to be overcome, for some reason we like can't cross that threshold. Like we can't go through the transition or the transformation. So I felt like that symbolism was relevant. We also have Mercury, who is an important planet right now, at 24 degrees of Scorpio. That Sabian symbol is crowds coming down the mountain to listen to one inspired man. And I just feel like that's a vibe as well, especially with this grand water trine. Like, this is a very potent spiritual energy. I do think a lot of people are personally experiencing some type of spiritual resurgence or revival, or even like a spiritual experience that shifts their belief system or awakens their connection to a higher power to like an even deeper or more profound extent somehow. So there could be like some type of vibe that's coming through in that regard as well this weekend. And that's what I have to say about the astrology, you guys. So we do get a bit of a break, I think, Saturday and Sunday this weekend. There is still this building underlying tension, and things are definitely probably coming to a head. I wouldn't be surprised if, Friday of this week, moving into the energy of next week, some things are really kind of like hitting the fan. These Mars-Saturn squares don't happen all the time. They are definitely, again, like points of conflict in terms of our ability to act in some way. There's some type of limitation or repression going on to our ability to like do something. And with Mars in the sign of Sagittarius, this kind of just like inherently has to do with some form of growth. So overcoming limitations and restrictions, power struggles definitely could be underway, but things are trying to head in a good direction, and they are likely to be changing pretty dramatically coming up here if they haven't already. So that's what I'm going to say about the astrology, you guys. I am going to get us a piece of guidance or advice now. I'm going to get us a synchronicity card. I'm asking God, Great Spirit, Universe, to deliver us one final piece of guidance or information or inspiration or something that can help us navigate the energy this weekend. What do we need to know? What will it benefit us to be aware of or to tell ourselves? How should we... There's our card. It says, it's your attitude, which is, very funny because I know I wrote attitude when I was writing my notes for today. I wrote attitude multiple times in my notes because of the fact that I feel like it's very important to try our best to maintain a positive, long-term, focused mental attitude right now, just because things could be a little bit trying, all the little things could be very cumbersome, and there could be a lot of just impediments maybe to the ability to get something done, but our attitude, I feel like, is very important. And that's what this is saying too, okay? Straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Matthew 7:14. The only way you can alter outer conditions is to change your mental attitude. For harmony, peace, prosperity, and health to enter your life, you must fill your subconscious with the understanding that all harmony, peace, abundance, and security is yours right now. So we have to stay focused regardless of the challenges that may be presenting. It definitely is going to benefit us to try to orient our mind's eye, our inner vision, what we're thinking about, like our thought patterns and stuff like that, in a productive way, not a destructive way, and to focus on what we want to build, what we want to grow, what we want to create, where we're going, the possibilities and the potentials of what could be, as opposed to maybe like all the reasons why that doesn't seem possible at the moment. So that's our guidance for the weekend, you guys. It's your attitude. We have both happening at once. It's like, again, this push and pull, like where is the focus going to be? Wherever the focus is emotionally, that is what is going to grow, especially as we get into the energy of Sunday and we've got the moon Jupiter conjunction. So yet again, just this like same repeating pattern coming through, and that's, I guess, what we need to know and be aware of for the weekend. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. Let me know what's going on out there. If you're going through it, if you are having experiences that reflect what I'm talking about in this video and any of my videos, really, drop me a comment, tell me all about it, let me know. That is very valuable information to me. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I post these boards in a Facebook group that I have that is linked in my description box below. Most of the time, sometimes I miss one here or there, but I do my very best to get these boards posted. So if you want to see this board, check that Facebook group and you will probably find it there. Other than that, you guys, come back with me on Monday. As I said, we're getting right back into it. The pressure cooker tension could be cranked right back up, and we've got another week of astrology coming at us, and I will be back to talk all about it. So you don't want to miss it, you guys. I will see you next time. Have a beautiful weekend, and until then, bye.